certification course, the first step to the DevOps world. Myself, Raghu, and I work in Germany currently as a data platform engineer in cloud. I specialize in building platforms in cloud, especially AWS, and I'm super thrilled to walk you through and explain you why AWS Solution Architect certification is the first step towards the DevOps. So let's understand why AWS it's what AWS itself. Let's learn from AWS with the perspective of being a DevOps engineer, being a manager, being a senior engineer, and what roles it opens up in our career once we start learning AWS Solution Architect. So let's take the example of how a DevOps world looks today. Now, if you want to build a new company, or let's just say startup, you start with writing some code. And once you have two or three people in your team, you start collaborating your code. And that's where the open source tool or the enterprise tool of GitHub comes into picture. Once we have the set of code, once we have the initial set running, we have to deploy this set of code. And we use tools to deploy this code. And the famous tool to do that is called Jenkins. Of course, we have other tools to do it. I'm only sharing you some of the ones that are open source and free to use. Now, the code is built, but where do you deploy? Well, if it's a startup, you don't need to hassle around finding a data center, finding your servers, or securing it, right? You directly go to AWS and you should be able to deploy the code and start making your business run and making it into the market and getting some reviews. As we proceed in our world of deploying things, writing some code, we get a lot of new features, we get a lot of new requests, and you have to build your company in a way that it scales. That's where Terraform comes into the picture, which is basically infrastructure as code. If you want to launch an instance, if you want to control which port to open programmatically, then that is where Terraform comes into picture. And to configure all of your servers to maintain the configurations across the machine, to do automation, we have Ansible. Now, once we have this steady flow of GitHub, Jenkins, Terraform, and Ansible in, we'll be having a lot of incoming traffic. Your server might just be processing an order, or your server might just be scanning a lot of different airplane websites or flight websites and getting the best deals. It can be anything, right? But you have something called as incoming traffic, and you have people visiting your web pages. You will have to actively monitor your system so that if there are any downtimes, your users are not affected. Now, why is it important? Is because uptime of your system or uptime of your website leads you to potential order and money. And this logic is same across every single company or every single project. So we have alerting and monitoring system. The last two pictures that you see is nothing but Docker and Kubernetes. This is more to do with microservices and how we scale, right? Apart from all of this, we have networking, security, database, routing, reserved instance, global storage, so on and so forth. Now, if you do want to start a company, if you do want to make sure you will be able to scale pretty quickly and cache the flexibility of cloud, you will have to set up all of this. Now, this is where AWS wins the game, and you can see it as an outer box here. All of this, what we just discussed, can be done as a part of AWS, right? AWS provides every single tool to make sure you can succeed in your business, make sure you can scale your business. And that is why I call AWS as a first step towards the DevOps world. Now, why is AWS certification so famous? And let's say, does it really get our job? Now, let's discuss a few concepts around this. We have different levels of AWS certification, the most famous being Associate Solution Architect and Professional Solution Architect. And we have specialized certification on big data, security, machine learning, and advanced networking. Recently, AWS also released a fundamental certification called as Cloud Practitioner, which aims at newbies who have just joined into AWS and want to understand AWS. Cloud Practitioner certification is also very good for marketing people and product people to get a higher overview of what AWS is. Now, many people ask me, hey, by just taking a certification, do I get a job? Definitely, it might not be true. But remember, a lot of projects today, when your clients hire you, they see if you are getting certified. The reason for that is AWS comes up with something called a shared responsibility model, which means as much as AWS is responsible for the infrastructure and automation kind of things, you're responsible for what you run inside AWS. Now, if a guy doesn't have enough experience on AWS, it's very difficult for him to design a flexible product in AWS and making sure it is safe and following the 5 pillars of AWS. Getting a certification will prove the only point that yes, you have put the maximum hours to understand all of this concept. You are aware of what is inside AWS, and definitely you're aware of the core concepts in AWS. And these are the reasons why your client would request you to have an AWS certification. Apart from that, definitely your knowledge is where you have to stand out, and having a certification and knowledge is a sweet spot for you to be and get the job then and there. Now, if you're here for the first time, what skills and prerequisites do you need? Now, if you have only the basic IT skills, it's more than enough. If you don't have any cloud experience, it's okay. We are going to start from the scratch, which is very rare because most of the students today have the necessary cloud experience or have heard of what cloud is basically. All you need is a Chrome browser and a good internet, and we are going to walk you through the journey of the cloud. Most common question that I also get is, hey, is solution architect same as enterprise architect or technical architect? Well, let's discuss this a bit, right? Now, daily work of a solution architect looks something like to use the technology for finding a solution for your business problems, understanding how to scale AWS for all the teams in your organization, effective use of AWS and keeping it secure, which is a very big role, guiding your team towards cost effective growth, lead or be a DevOps engineer and enable key automation for your users. It can be internal users or it can be external clients, and implement DevOps culture into every team. Now, this is what is the work of a solution architect. He will be responsible for making sure you're using AWS the right way. Now, let me give you an example. Let's say you want to try out and install a MySQL database. Now, if you do it on an EC2 instance in AWS, well, it's not the great way. Why? Because RDS provides you this out of the box with a lot of features around it. And that's where the knowledge of AWS comes into picture. And AWS solution architect itself is structured in a way that it teaches you all the basics around AWS, which plays a very big role. For example, VPC, network security, subnets, security groups, so on and so forth. Having this knowledge, which hardens your basics, plays a key role, and having all of these experiences that you have got throughout your journey till now will have a positive impact when you take up the certification or when you learn all the topics required for AWS solution architect. Based on your experience, what jobs you can apply? Definitely, you can apply for AWS support engineer, junior DevOps engineer, AWS DevOps engineer, embedded DevOps engineer in cloud. Now, point number 4 is a bit different. Embedded DevOps engineer in cloud is basically one guy in the team with developer, tester, product managers, and all of them. He is responsible for doing all of this stuff in AWS, like deployment, maintenance, setting up alerts, so on and so forth. And if you have more experience than that, definitely you can become a senior cloud support engineer or a team lead for AWS. When you become a team lead in AWS or when you become a senior support engineer in AWS, more of your concentration will be on getting your visibility on AWS. Has all the instances or the services in AWS are tagged in a right way? Are we underutilizing any machines? Are we overutilizing any machines? Are we making sure that there is no unauthorized ports available, open available in your instances? Is there anyone pushing their access key, secret key into the GitHub, which can be a disaster? Is there any S3 bucket public? If it is public, is it valid to be public? There are many things like this that you will have to take care, and that would be the role of a senior engineer, and it is expected out of him. What is the course outline, and how does it look? We will start with the very basics. What exactly is a cloud, and how is it different from a data center? For what project should you be choosing cloud, and what project you can still be choosing a data center? Data centers definitely are still winners in some areas, and we will look into it. We will look into all of it in the first section. What we want to make sure is you should be very well prepared when these questions are asked in an interview, or you get into a dilemma of understanding when to use cloud and what role it does play. Then we have understanding of core services, and we have understanding of advanced services. Why these are separated is we have a lot of core services in AWS, which enables you to run your business. And then we have a lot of advanced services, which utilize the core services. Let me repeat again, which utilize these core services and adds additional value onto your system. Now, if you don't use a lot of your core services, or if you are not aware of any of the core services, it is fine, because AWS has a lot of different core services. And trust me, it is not like every company uses this advanced service, or it is like they will reject you just you not knowing an advanced service. But definitely, if you are having a confusion between how a VPC works, how a private IP works, what is the public IP, what is a static IP, these things are tested a lot, and these all fall under core services. If I have to separate it, core services are building blocks of your project, and they make sure you implement all your projects in the right way. Then advanced services adds a lot of value into it when it comes to automation, when it comes to deployment, when it comes to maintenance, and getting more data out of it. But not understanding core services in a right way will lead to a disaster, because you will not be understanding how to use advanced services to the best extent. At the end of this course, we'll also be having a mock interview and one certification level question set. So what's the key takeaway of this training? Well, I have a lot of YouTube videos that I can watch. I can, of course, take a bunch of Udemy courses or Coursera courses, right? Now, one of the things that a lot of students lack is when they go through the course, they come up with a lot of questions. Now, the question arises because of the video itself, or the question arises because of the experience that they have had in the past. And I want to have an open discussion, just like a questionnaire, by asking, hey, I don't really understand how it works because I've seen this working differently in other team, so on and so forth. Now, this is where a key role plays into picture, where you can interact with the trainer and ask some questions, and we'll have open discussion around it. Plus, we will have interview-based scenarios and questions that we discuss, and we'll try to come up with the best answers available. Also, you can understand how, when, and where to use cloud systems, and making sure that you are well prepared for the exam. We will have quizzes after every section, hardening your skills and making sure that you will be able to get the best result when you attend the exam. The course is not just about launching your EC2 instance. If I want to tell you, okay, you just launch your EC2 instance, but is this how a company does it? Do they really go to an EC2 console and go through all of these 7 steps? Launch an EC2 instance? What is the security around it? How do you create a backup around it? Well, these are the important things that we'll be going to discuss in the training, and you get to ask a lot of questions. Point number 6 is course flow. Having a wrong course flow would lead to difficulty in learning. If you want to learn any programming course, may it be Python, may it be Java, you start with building blocks, correct? Print hello world, and then you start with loops, and then you go to object-oriented programming. What happens if you jump into object-oriented programming right away? Well, you get confused because you don't know how does a print statement work, how does an if loop work. This itself is a discouraging step for any of our students, and hence we try to concentrate on a use case wherein we will come up with a proper use case of a company, and we will take you through this course flow so that you understand how everything is interlinked and how you understand how everything is dependent on each other, so on and so forth, right? What about sample projects or demo, right? Now, AWS is not like a Java coding, wherein you build probably a banking application and you say, hey, I have used all the features of Java. AWS is a integrated service wherein you have different services, they play a different role. When you mix all of these services into a pattern and use it in the right way, they add a value. In this case, also, each and every topic we are going to learn, we get to practice it, but some might be theory, some might be practical. All the certification courses that you see here or in other places, the syllabus is designed in a way that you can practice in free tier, but that's a big limitation for you, because the free tier only allows you to do a few things, but when you actually go to the company, you might have not even seen some of the services getting implemented. And that's the reason why we'll want to have a 20 USD dollar limit per month on the AWS account that we are going to create for you so that we can do some extra things. For example, if you want to change your T2 macro to R4X large and see how the performance works, well, there's a limitation here because R4X large doesn't come up with 3-tier. And in this cases, we will want to spend some money. And we will have a budget of 20 USD, and we will make sure that we are under this particular price. Well, that's all for this demo. If you have watched this demo previously, it's very good. If you are making sure that it's the first time, note down all your questions. And when we meet again and have an open discussion, you can ask me more questions on it. And making sure that we will always record our sessions and it will be shared with you. And all the practice exams that you take with us, we will be sharing this to your email. We'll be sharing the results to via email. You can go through it and make sure you get to revise all of these questions. Again, guys, I would like to stress you the point that it is not just the content that you get, it is the interaction that you have to make the best use of by asking the questions, by asking us, hey, can you tell me more implementations of this in real life? Why am I learning this topic? If this is implemented in a different way in the company, well, why am I not learning particular topic, right? All of this is some of the discussions that you should openly have, and that is the key takeaway from our training. And I wish that we will have future discussions, and I wish you all the best for joining our course, and I wish to see you soon. So have a great day and enjoy. Thank you.